Hi, my name is Austin Harris. This is my third week's video for my creativity journal log. And this week we talked about personal space and interactions in the business world, and masculinity and femininity with women and men. Um, and we had the honor of having Professor Hill talk to us this week, and that was pretty special. So just a little bit of um, a rerun through our lecture. Professor Hill talked a lot about how it is very important for us to know in other cultures what they do and what we do and how they operate and how we operate. And what I mean by that is, as far as touching, personal space, and hand gestures, anything that we use to communicate, we need to make sure we know what that means in their culture before we use it in their environment. To give an example, of an important person who used a gesture that made a negative impact on the people that he was visiting's area. We had a president. The name of who it was escapes me at this moment. I want to say it was Herbert Walker Bush, but I'm not sure. I know that somebody on accident had put the peace sign in the air, and good intentions, everything, but where that was, uh, the peace sign, the two fingers in the air, meant something entirely different, and in fact, it had a negative impact. Communication wise on the people that lived in that area, and they thought negatively of him because of it. So as you can see, business wise, this is really, really important for us to be interculturally aware of how others operate and how we operate, and how to better communicate with them and their environment, so that we can communicate more successfully. Um, Most CEOs, we learn, require that their new graduate faces are culturally aware of how the rest of the world perceives our communication. So this kind of goes into why it's important in business to know this kind of information and apply it to what you do and your communication to others and other cultures. I know that the intimate space that we talked about was a foot to 6 inches. Personal space is 2 feet to 6 inches. Social space is 4 feet to 7 feet, and then normal spacing would be about 8 feet generally, and that's what Professor Hill told us in the lecture. The business space is 7 feet to 12 feet. And we learned that, all of these different things, as far as distance wise, can even have a large impact. If you have somebody that wants to have a conversation with you but is right next to you and making you uncomfortable, you're probably not going to be paying as much attention to what they're saying, and probably paying more attention to the fact that you're uncomfortable and want to get out of the conversation as quickly as possible. We also learned that some sales classes teach the art of moving from business to intimate, a form of trust. So what that means is not necessarily like sexually intimate, but you want to gain friendship and trust with people. So if I'm having a conversation with them, my goal is to move from being a like an acquaintance, a business frame of friendship, uh, to being closer to where that we help each other out and as far as business goes, we have each other's best interests at hand. I could see how that could be very important when working with others. You want to have each other's back, because when it all comes down to it, life gets in the way of work and anything that we have going on, and you will need someone to have your back at some point in time, and it is best to have good relations with your coworkers. Another thing that we talked about was, geographically speaking, where these places are that they have different cultures as far as gestures. And so I noted which ones were, kind of different and outside the box to us. Avoid casual touching would be never use left hand, and that's in a variety of different countries, because it's just offensive. Your right hand is what you do things with, shaking hands, etc. Most of Asia, UK, and Northern Europe all have that. They all don't really use their left hand for certain things, and just avoiding casual touching is kind of a thing to keep in mind. The different hand signals and what they mean in other countries is important, like I said. And I also jotted down some of my personal thoughts about this lecture in particular because I thought it was so valuable. This really opened my mind to the importance of cultural awareness and communication with the rest of the world. It makes sense that CEOs look for graduates to have this quality because even a past president made this mistake, like I said before. Meaning, so we could still make those same mistakes if one of the most educated and a person that we choose to represent us, if he's capable of making those mistakes, then we are too. And it is very important that we be prepared correctly to communicate with others and be on the best terms. This really is an important issue in our world today, and it should be something that everyone should have to learn in school. Alright, so in addition to the spatial, cultural, and communication differences with other countries and people of other ethnic backgrounds, we also masculinity and femininity with men and women is pretty important as well, and we talked about that too. We watched two videos that were kind of meant to be funny but get a point across about the differences with expectations of men and women. My personal favorite was the Pine-Sol video that we watched from YouTube, and I think the whole point of that was, cleaning and using household products for whatever reason in our culture has been seen as a woman's job, which is weird. It's something that we look at and we say, why is it like that? And so we have this image of men for being strong, not afraid of anything, women to be the sensitive, emotional, household mom, taking care of the family kind of a culture. But this is kind of the background of the video. So in the video we have the Pine-Sol lady, who is known for like the commercials and the advertisements, and she's kind of a heavier set black lady, and she's hilarious. And so in this video they have a lot of men coming in and using the Pine-Sol products. And as they're cleaning, and there's a guy there talking to him about the product and all this stuff. But really what the video is about is it's kind of a prank. And they have a poster on the wall of like Pine-Sol, and like the black lady I was talking about, advertising the Pine-Sol and everything like that. And the guy, casually, however, gestures to the man that was cleaning and says, so, you know a little bit about Pine-Sol, so you must know who this lady is, like yada yada. And then all of a sudden the actual woman jumps through the poster because there was a hole in the other side of the wall and scares the guys. And so it kind of shows, the masculine image that we see with men. It shows the lack of that with them being scared, intimidated, and all this because she jumps through the poster. It's really the point of it was to kind of see the whole concept of why we think we see men and women having these different jobs. I think personally, and that we have these attachments with like personalities that are supposed to be gender based. And so I think that's why that video was shown. The second video was about girls shampoo not being for real men, and it's a goofy video about this guy using women's shampoo, and he's in the office and his hair's all long and luscious, and one of his coworkers comes over and is messing with him about his hair and all this, and he goes back and it shows him like washing his hair, and it's got like a girl's shampoo on it, and so he starts using men's shampoo, and it's like all suave and sophisticated. And I mean, it's also a funny video, but it's trying to get the same point across of like men and masculinity and women and femininity. And I mean, it's just something that I think Professor Hill wanted to point out in the lecture that I think is also important with cultural differences today. Because in a lot of cultures, men are seen as superior to women still in our day and time. And I think that that's something that not a lot of people here are used to, because men and women are seen as better, more or less equals here in the U.S. in comparison to other countries. For the most part, that is what we talked about this week in lecture, and that's all for now.